Today we have Adam from Ghoti Hook. Super excited to chat with you, Adam. Ghoti Hook is one of those bands that to me just feels like a legendary punk band. I don't know if Cullen mentioned to you before, Adam, but Ghoti Hook is like one of those bands, like early days of like Tooth and Nail, and that whole scene is like so important to us with growing up. We Cullen and I definitely kind of maybe came along kind of in that what maybe would be described as sort of like the second wave of Tooth and Nail. But obviously those first wave bands, including Ghoti Hook and a lot of those other first wave bands, were so pivotal for even like the bands that Cullen and I grew up with. But Cullen and I are like such Tooth and Nail fans that we definitely are familiar with Ghoti Hook, as well as a lot of those other early Tooth and Nail bands, like Dogwood is another one as well. A lot of the other ones from that era. So Slick Shoes, a number of them. So
if I can say this,
to chat with you.
This is what Ghoti Hook means to me. So our youth group room had a whole like line of CDs on the shelf. And
right.
You could check out the CDs and you could listen to them at home. And cool. The Banana record was one of those CDs on the shelf. And I was like, this looks interesting. I borrowed it and never gave it back.
Nice.
So
you still have it
upstairs. Still have it. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. Nothing like stealing from the church. You know what I mean?
I think there was one point I pitched an album title of "This album's free." And nobody went for it.
That's very similar to System of a Down. Steal this album,
or like is it like Chumbawamba, or what's that
Chumbawamba?
Yeah,
I get
like that
I get knocked down, but I get back up again.
Yeah, that band. They had the same thing where they like told fans to just steal CDs from their store.
The problem is that no one actually wanted to steal that record because it was such a creepy looking record. That face on the front just gets me the willies,
Ghoti Hook walks so that Radiohead could later on run within Rainbows, right?
That's right.
You guys
That's exactly what it was.
ahead of your time. So, before stealing music was a popular thing, Cullen was doing it, in our youth group days. So
nice.
That's. And I'm sure you guys could have really used Cullen's money when he was 15 years old.
Every little bit counts.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Got to get lunch somehow.
Exactly right. Adam, it's exciting to talk to you. Obviously, we'll want to talk all things Ghoti Hook. But before we dive into that, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm a little tired. Getting ready for our son's graduation. We're having a bunch of people over.
Dang. High school graduation or college or what?
High
master's
school.
degree, PhD. Where are we at?
I'm not that old.
Okay. All right. Good.
High school graduation. I was telling Cullen, our daughter had her preschool graduation last week, and our son's having his high school graduation this week. So we've got the whole spectrum covered there.
You really do. Wow. So what is that, like 13 years basically?
Yeah, she was our COVID surprise.
Wow. Wow, a little, yeah. Oh, that's crazy to think that like babies that were born during COVID are now like preschoolers and kindergartners. That's crazy. I'm just realizing that right now. Holy cow. Wow, we are, oh man, time does fly. Whether it's going poorly or bad or great, it doesn't matter. It's flying by. Wow. Yeah. Well, congratulations on for you to like just but be in that like time of life where you've got a young one, you've got an older one that's moving out of the house here soon, I'm sure, and probably everything in between.
Yeah, so it's wild. I listen to a lot of adults and they forget a lot of their history, but when you've got kids at that big of a spectrum, it makes your history more alive. So I can remember a lot about myself and what I was going through, and to be able to see them and what they're going through versus what I was going through. It's great that they're doing so well.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense that your kids think you're cool as a dad? Like I often think about my dad. He's a classic Midwest dad, just like through and through. He's got the grass stained New Balances and all the things.
Nice.
I don't think there was ever a moment where I thought my dad was cool, though. I don't know if you ever thought your dad was cool, though, Cullen. Like, your dad is cool, actually, but, like, I don't know if you ever thought that or not, but
No, I never really thought that.
Yeah, Adam,
Yeah.
do you think your kids think you're cool? The fact that you're in a band? Like, I do think it had my dad been in, like, an actual cool band, like a signed band at one point, I might have maybe thought differently about him. Do you think the fact that you were, in Ghoti Hook, does that, like, give you, like, an extra level of cred amongst your kids? Or does it just, like, make you even less cool or something? I'm just curious.
I think my son thought I was full of BS for a long time. Because I would tell him from when he was really young. I would tell him stories about being on tour, playing shows, and it didn't really. I don't think he could totally wrap his head around it. But once he got to an age where he was like, "Oh," because I've played in bands after Ghoti Hook. I still play in bands, and so like, I think the first time he saw me play, I had to get a new phone, and I was in DC playing a show. And it worked out really well. My wife and kids brought me my new phone. In the venue, it was like a club, and the drums were next to a window that went right out to the street. So they just walked up, and in between songs, I grabbed my new phone, and I could see in my son's face, he was like, "Oh, this is real." Like he's not full of it. Like, and I think I had a window from like 10 to maybe 14 where he thought I was cool. And I think now we're just like I try to take him to as many shows as possible. So I think now we're kind of like this is a really terrible phrase, but like show bros.
Nice. That's a great place to be as a dad, though. I got to imagine.
Cool.
It is nice. I think the biggest one, he and I really like a band called The from England. And
That's a great name.
For his 16th birthday, my wife got him tickets to a show, but the show was in London. So she got the tickets. I had to provide the trip.
That's unfair.
But
I will say this. I think punk dads, I think they age the most gracefully of any dads in any music industry, like any music scene, I should say. Because, like, the style just kind of is, like, timeless, first of all. And I feel like punk dudes just always kind of know how to take care of themselves a little bit more. You rarely see, like, a real, like, overweight punk dad. Or if you do, they're, like, super, super chill. And I look at you, and I'm like, all right, you're clearly in good shape. You got this cool coiffed hair, a little bit of salt and pepper, and you're just chill. It just seems to me like punk dads age the most gracefully of any music scene.
I have a theory on that. So you've got your pop bands or your hardcore bands. Like East Coast hardcore bands, a lot of them are like very fashionable. They always have been. Like fashion is a big thing in the hardcore scene, but they don't want you to know that.
That's so true.
And like pop bands, everybody has to look kind of glossy and nice.
Right.
Punk guys just have always looked like crap. So as we get older, it's not a big switch for everybody. It's like, oh, you've always kind of looked like crap. So it's like, not that big of a deal. And I was actually feeling guilty. Like, I haven't shaved today. This is how my hair looked when I woke up. I was like, ugh, I didn't do anything to get ready for this. So thank you.
So you wake up looking like a model for like an alts magazine.
7-ball.
Yeah, 7-ball. There you go.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There is something about fashion. I've been thinking about this recently, where fashion alone can almost just make you look like 20 years younger. Like there's a guy, I don't even know his name, but so I work for a school, and he's like, I think he's like an alum from like 20, 30 years ago. So he's maybe in like his 50s, maybe probably 60s even. And he's just like so stylish, like not in a like overly fancy kind of pop.
Not trying
but
too
like,
hard.
yeah, like he's got like he's the. I mean, he's in his 60s, but he wears like these like really cool looking boots, and like he doesn't have like overly baggy jeans, but like not overly skinny jeans. It's kind of like this like nice looking jeans, and he
Balance.
always wears like a nice like fitted shirt. And he's got cool looking tattoos, and like he might have like one or two piercings. Like he's in his 60s, or I'm sure he's in his 60s, but he just looks really cool. And I'm like, yeah, it just like the fact that he dresses really cool makes him look like he might actually be closer to his 40s. Like he looks like he's like maybe like plays for the national, and he's like way older than those guys for sure.
It gets difficult. Like, how old are you guys?
33.
33.
I'm 31.
That's a great era. Enjoy it. I'm 49.
I'll try.
Good. I needed to hear that right now.
It gets complicated. It's like
Yeah.
you don't want to be the guy that, like, I see dads that are like tagging along with their kids, like too close to their friend group, and you're just kind of like, you got to let them go, and you've got to let your past go because you're obviously hanging on a little too hard. But it gets confusing because it's like, I told my son, it's like, he just turned 18, and I was like, you're going to be 18 in your brain for the next 25 or 30 years.
That's so true.
And he's
That's
like-
so true.
Yes, I still feel like that. I'm like, I cannot believe like I own a house now, and I'm like, what? Like, I still like when I think of Cullen, still I think of like 18-year-old Cullen and I like doing dumb shit.
Oh,
and I'm
man.
like,
That's not good.
yeah, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, I remember doing dumb shit with this guy, and now he's got like a toddler, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, if this toddler knew like half the shit that I know about Cullen, like this toddler would be like, I need to get adopted by somebody else.
I need a babysitter while you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, so,
That's so
it's,
true.
it's like you wake up one morning and it's like, you can't really see them, but I've got, there are wrinkles, and I've got my hair's
Oh.
going gray, and it's like, should I wear a pink Screeching Weasel t-shirt? It's,
Hell yeah, you should.
It's the only one I own. They don't make green ones anymore. And, but it's gotta, you have to, like that guy, that 60-year-old guy, it's like there's a balance to it where it's like just enough to know that people know that you're aware of what you look like, but not so
Yeah.
much that you're like,
Yes.
I'm trying to find a time machine on eBay so I can go back and relive my glory days.
Right. No, you got to be careful with it. You definitely got to be careful with it for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, Adam, enough of reminiscing about what life was like and what life could be and all of those sort of things. But let's talk about Ghoti Hook. So let's go to the very beginning. I'd love to just kind of hear kind of your own involvement with like getting involved with Ghoti Hook. What was that? What's the story? What's the story with you all guys starting and getting that going?
Well, the very beginning, I was probably 12 years old.
Dang.
Yeah, we started when we were really, really young. And it was three of us, and every weekend we'd go to it was myself, Joel, the lead singer, and our friend Justin. We'd go to one of our houses, do the sleepover, stay up super late trying to watch movies that we weren't supposed to and all that. Then we go on bike rides all day and then come home and then, typical kid weekend. And one Thanksgiving I went up to my aunt and uncle's house, and I'd been playing drums off and on since I was really little. And my aunt and uncle had a drum set, and I was just like, I gotta have this drum set. And I think they were just holding it for somebody. But my dad ended up convincing them to sell it to him. He got me the drum set. Justin got a guitar, and we started just messing around, playing Metallica songs very poorly. That went on for probably like a year or so. We met Conrad, and we'd known Christian for a long time, and didn't know that he played, had any interest in playing the bass. So Conrad and Christian started messing around, and we basically just did whatever we wanted. We didn't really know that, we didn't know that there was any type of like scene of younger musicians. Like, we all grew up in church. My dad was a minister, so I'm a preacher's kid, so obviously I was the bad one. So we knew about like Striper and what, Petra, Res
Oh,
Band,
yeah, Petra.
all that type of stuff. And I really didn't, it was okay. It got me through. So we've been playing for a while, just making noise. And we didn't know that there were other bands out there that weren't like, I don't want to be disparaging towards anybody, but like cheesy Christian rock music. And that was definitely not what we wanted, because we weren't like, I think around 1990, 1991 is when we discovered Green Day and Lookout Records. And we got a hold of a Lookout record catalog, and we just started ordering all the bands we could get from that record label. Who was, I think Face to Face was on Lookout for a little while. Anyway, I think Christian brought a cassette tape of a band called Poor Old Lou.
Yes.
And he was like, these guys are like just a little bit older than us. And we were like, oh, that's cool. Good for them. But even then it didn't really dawn on us that like there could be more. So, we made really terrible music for a long time. And we just recently went back and listened to some of our old demos. And it was just not pleasant. But we had been listening to punk music, and it didn't really, like, we'd grown up listening to a lot of old Metallica, Violent Femmes, Dead Milkmen. Those were huge influences when we were getting started and like figuring out what we wanted to do. But we started switching more and more to listening to punk music. Operation Ivy was like the first band we really started listening to. It was energetic, and it was fast, and it wasn't polished. It was just raw, and it felt good. And then got into Screeching Weasel and Green Day. And then we found No Effects. And it was just like, wow, this is like the fastness of the thrash metal we grew up listening to, but with all the melodies from the Violent Femmes or other bands that we listened to. And it really clicked with us, and we discovered we could play music like that, where it was like really fast, really melodic. And so we just switched, made a complete pivot from the terrible music we were making to trying to be like No Effects. And I am blanking on how we bridged. Like, we played talent shows, local talent shows, just for fun, for something to do. And I guess our Christian, the bass player, went up and saw a show at Drexel University in Philadelphia, and met the promoter, Scott Hatch from Burnt Toast Vinyl. I don't know if you know him. And so Scott invited us up to play a show, and it was us, Black Cherry Soda, which would become known as the Huntingtons. Oh, no, I take that back. Sorry. Cricket. They would become the Huntingtons. And another band called Black Cherry Soda. And we got a really good reception because we put on a really stupid show. We didn't care about trying to look cool or be cool, because we knew we weren't. So we just kind of went with what we knew, which was being stupid and silly and just having fun on stage while we played music. And so Scott invited us back, and we played a show with MXPX and Blenderhead. And
Wow.
on, I think, their first tour together. And then started playing more and more shows in Philadelphia. Philadelphia was pretty, at that time, was still like primarily a hardcore scene, but we were loud enough that we still kind of fit in. And I guess we were kind of like a palate cleanser because, you know, you have like early Zao and some of those other bands from that area. And then we'd get on stage dressed like, you know, the guys from Ministry or something like that, and have a Mortal Kombat dance party in the middle of our set. And then they'd go back to more hardcore bands. But
what years just kind of would you say? Was this like 92, 93, would you say? Or is it a little later than that?
The Philadelphia stuff was probably 93, 94,
Okay.
around in that time period. I was, 10th grade?
Damn, you guys were so young.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I didn't have that many friends in high school. I was a very introverted, quiet person. I still am. So, like, I would go all week at school and not talk to anybody, and then, like, leave Friday afternoon and go play Philadelphia on Friday, Ohio on Saturday, and then somewhere else in Pennsylvania on Sunday, and come back and then start school again. And nobody had any clue at my school what I was doing.
That's crazy.
Which
Like I
actually
just
not-
can't imagine like you're like at least for me when I was that age, like I could barely like figure out like algebra 2, much less like figuring out playing in front of like maybe 100 kids or whatever. Like that to me like feels way more daunting, and yet like you still got your algebra homework that you've got to make sure is due on Monday.
Well, fortunately, I was a terrible student, so homework wasn't that big of a deal.
You're just like screw it anyway.
Right. But I managed to graduate. But let's see. So there was a whole Pennsylvania scene. It was like Philadelphia, Westchester, all more east to like Lebanon and those areas. And so we were just kind of really focusing on that network. And then somebody there, they were like, hey, there's this big festival out in Illinois called Cornerstone. You guys should go. We're like, nobody asked us to go. You know, so it's like, we're not just going to show up and expect to play. But then someone was like, there's a skate ramp where you can just show up and play. And so that seemed a little
The
bit
generator
more,
stage.
yeah. So we were just like, might as well. Because I think we had already started playing shows in Illinois. We figured out we could, you know, do Philadelphia, go to Illinois, and then drive all the way back on Sunday so that, you know, we were home in time for school.
That's my mind. Just
Yeah, like imagining my son doing that is bonkers.
like I mean like this feels like some like weird like spin-off of like Saved by the Bell or something. Like it's just
Didn't they have
So-
a band?
I'm sure they did. Yeah. Yeah. But what does
I want to say there
what
was an
does-
era where like they had a band. Mark, one of the guitarists in Ghoti Hook, he would know. Anyway, so we drove out to Cornerstone, showed up, waited around to play at the skate ramp or the generator stage. And it was funny, the band that either played before us or after us was like this crazy ska band that was more like Mr. Bungle than like a normal ska band. Like it was ska-ish. But the lead singer was really great. He had long blue hair and like was just really charismatic. And so he and I kind of hung out a little bit. And it was Reese from 5 Iron Frenzy in one of his like early bands.
so this is
I don't-
before 5 Iron even.
Yeah, I don't know if they were
Wow.
called 5 Iron at that time, but yeah, it was cool to meet him. We played, and it was, you know, people were interested. They just wanted to run around and hit each other, so that's what they did. But we found out, we did some networking, basically just hanging out and talking.
Could you? I'm always curious, like, because I've heard a lot of stories about the generator stage, but one thing I don't know is, as a band that like plays the generator stage, was there a way to like sell merch or CDs or anything at that time?
I don't think officially you could sell merch. And a lot of those bands, if they had merch, they had like 10 t-shirts.
Right,
And you'd
right.
be like, hey, if anybody's interested, we'll be over at our van. You know, kind of wink, wink. You know, because you're supposed to pay a merch fee if you sell merchandise.
right.
And if you're a
Right.
teeny tiny band that is trying to make it, like, you don't want to pay a merch fee on top of like just trying to make it. So it was kind of like, hey, talk to us over there and we'll get you, hooked up. But maybe we had t-shirts.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, I mean, you guys are in high school. Like I'm sure you're already super limited in how much money you've got. So the fact that you're going multiple states over to Illinois, like, how do you just justify, like, unless like you're able to make some sort of money from some of the shows that you're doing, maybe along the way or whatever. But like how do you justify going all the way to Cornerstone without making any money from Cornerstone and then heading back? I'm just trying to, like, for a 16-year-old, like that would make me, that would put me in debt for the rest of my life probably.
I don't know if we were dumb enough to do it and not think about it, or if like we just had enough to like get by, because we had to pay for gas, obviously,
right?
Which is not like gas it is today, I'm sure.
No, thank goodness. Yeah, I think we had to have t-shirts, because I know we had a money box, which sounds incredibly ignorant on my part, but yeah, I think we booked places to stay with people instead of getting hotel rooms, like, yeah, so like we knew people in Pennsylvania, we could spend the night there, we could give people rides to the festival, and then they could hook us up with someone if like we needed some place to stay around. What's the area of,
like, I think it was in Bushnell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just like a lot of making friends and making connections and like helping each other out. Otherwise, and we didn't need all that much.
Right.
You get a little bit of money and, you get dinner at the show, maybe, but you get lunch and those snacks after the show, maybe.
What does your pastor father think about
wild.
all this?
I mean, obviously, like, we were young enough that our parents would be like, here's some money, so you're not out there starving. But it really, I mean, once we did Cornerstone, that first Cornerstone, we found out that if you have a newsletter, or, back then they called them zines, if you had a zine or a newsletter or a mailing list, that was the thing. The key was having a mailing list with a certain amount of people on it. And if you had that, you could get press passes. You could get press passes into Cornerstone to do interviews for your, magazine or newsletter or whatever. So that next year, every show we played, we just pushed our mailing list on people. We're like, hey, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get anything. Just put your name on this mailing list. And so we submitted it to Cornerstone, and we all got press passes. So we got into Cornerstone for free because we had press passes, and then we played the Generator stage again. And then we had already played with MXPX and Blenderhead, and a band had to cancel, maybe like Morella's Forest or something like that, had to cancel. And I think somebody put us on the 7-ball stage. And we were really well received.
So is that like some like Christian version of like is that like is it like some sort of innuendo to like 8-ball that's like a Christian version of that? Like what does 7-ball even mean?
I never thought to ask. I always figured it was something cool that I didn't know about, and so I wasn't going to ask and make myself look
like we don't need an 8-ball because we're Christians. We got a 7-ball. Like what is it? Like what is it that they're you're trying to refer to?
But it was the hot deal back then. They had their own stage at stages at festivals. I think there was even a 7-ball festival, if I remember correctly.
Dang.
But yeah, after that Cornerstone, everything pretty much, because that got us more in contact with the Tooth and Nail people.
Right, yeah.
Oh, and to go back to what I was saying before, like when I mentioned Poor Old Lou, that cassette tape, like it opened up a whole world to us, that there were people our age playing all kinds of music. And it was really cool because it really lit that fire of, not to sound like a youth pastor, but it sparked something in us to be like, there's a possibility here for us to do something bigger than just rehearse, and play shows every once in a while. So that was why I brought all that up.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, after that second Cornerstone, we got in contact with like 5 Minute Walk. Some of the other labels were interested in signing us, Tooth and Nail. And we negotiated a lot. We actually got Salt and Peppa's lawyer to negotiate our contract.
Excuse me?
Whoa.
He's some guy that he lived in Maryland, and I can't remember his name. I feel bad. He was a super nice guy, but like did not mess around when it came to contracts. Like I remember talking to Brandon from To the Nail years later, and he was like, "You guys were just a bunch of punk kids from DC. We thought we were gonna get Minor Threat or like just some gutter punk band, and get them on a contract. But you guys show up with Salt and Pepper's lawyer and like totally shred the contract that we sent to you and repackaged it." And so he was kind of blown that he didn't get the contract that he wanted. But it was a
Good
pretty
on you guys, though. That's
Yeah,
great.
no doubt.
Yeah,
I
because
mean, like Tooth and Nail was like, no, and again, like, I have, we don't know Brandon at all. Like, we've heard lots of different kinds of stories from different perspectives about him, but like, what I think is sort of unanimous about Tooth and Nail is like they definitely, especially for new bands, they were definitely like lowballing a lot of contracts. So like, good on you guys for like, feeling like, hey, we know our worth, and we're gonna come in hot with somebody who knows what he's doing, and and get what you guys are, what you guys deserve.
yeah, the contracts. I mean, it's business, and if unfortunately, like if I had been in a band without the rest of Ghoti Hook, I probably would have signed a terrible contract. But because the way all of us worked together, because the contract was like, some of the contracts were like you sign for 7 records.
Right.
And,
But they can drop you after one.
Right. And you only made royalties off of cassette sales, not LPs or CDs. And it was an era when nobody was really buying cassettes. And so we had to negotiate. We negotiated a 1+1+1, which meant 3 albums, and we could renegotiate what our contract would be each time we released a record, which was a really great deal for us. And we ended up doing more records as a way to kind of like, it was a quid pro quo with Tooth and Nail.
Yeah.
Right.
And we tried to be, I think being really poor caused us to try to be a little bit smarter than we would have been. Because we were on the East Coast, we were in DC, we didn't have any peers. We didn't have anybody showing us the ropes. We didn't have anybody saying, "Oh, do this, don't do that." When you go on tour, get this type of vehicle, don't get that type of, we didn't have anything. So we had to learn everything on our own. And one of the first things we learned was take out Tooth and Nail's new bands on tour with us. And that makes Tooth and Nail really happy. So
Makes sense.
that was kind of our, like, when we would go on tour, we would take their recently signed bands that didn't have much of a following. And Tooth and Nail, like, they bought my drum set. They bought our guitars. They bought stuff we needed for tour and things like that with no recoup. Like, I just had to be in the band for 4 years, and the drum set was mine to keep forever. I mean, I still have it.
Wow.
Wow.
All the guys still have their guitars and amps and stuff like that.
There's no way they're doing shit like that anymore. There's
No.
just absolutely no.
No, and
No,
they don't. I
the
mean,
bands we've talked to.
it's
These days,
unfortunate for the
they
bands
don't
now,
have
but I
that.
don't think Tooth and Nail needs to, because I didn't realize that when we started, Tooth and Nail was basically still starting.
Right.
It wasn't until a couple years ago I found an old catalog of, like, I was looking through it, and all the models for the Tooth and Nail t-shirts were people from Tooth and Nail bands. I was like, oh, they didn't have anybody. They didn't have models. They couldn't pay models. So it was all Tooth and Nail band people. And the catalog was like 6 records. And then the next catalog after that, we were in that catalog, and it dawned on me like how early we started on Tooth and Nail. It hadn't really dawned on me before. It's like I was always the youngest in my peer group. So you kind of have this concept that like everything has already existed because everybody already knows about it, because you're the youngest and they're the oldest, and at least that's how I approach things. So I always have this in my mind that like everybody's way ahead of me on information. But so I didn't realize, like we were one of the early bands.
So what does your pastor father think about all this? He hears about his son going to the supposed Christian festival, and he's working with the supposed Christian label, but he's playing this raucous punk music, and I am always curious about what the parental figures in your life think about such a thing.
Mason and I talked about this a little bit during the technical difficulties. My dad was really weird in like all of my friends and family, like my wife, like they all know that my dad was like on a completely different level. And if like I went into stories about my dad, we'd be here for hours. Let's see. I'll try to sum up some, like, okay, he's the type of guy, he can pick up any instrument and he knows how to play it.
Wow.
I was in 7th or 8th grade. I was in gym class, and my dad just showed up. He wouldn't go to the office. You're supposed to like check in and all that stuff. He just opened the gym door. I think I was playing basketball, and he's like, "Hey, Buck." He called me Buck my whole life.
It's a great nickname.
I use it a lot. He's like, "You want to go to New York?" I was like, "Sure." I was like, "The city?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." Oh, we lost Mason.
Oh, he'll be back. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. He took me to New York City when I was in the 8th grade. We get there, and he's like, "I've got some meetings. Here's a little bit of money. We'll meet back up around like 8 o'clock." I was like, "What?"
In New York City? How old are you?
I was, what are you, like 14, 13,
Wow.
14 in 8th grade? I was in Times Square in like the late 80s, early 90s. And he just like, I can still see his shoulders as he walked away out of Times Square. And I was standing there as a 14-year-old kid, just like, I don't know what to do. So that's kind of my dad in a nutshell.
So what does that kind of upbringing kind of do to you as someone who's exploring this path? It's very different than the rest of your family and the rest of your peers, for that matter.
It was really helpful because
Yeah.
my dad put me in all kinds of weird situations, and he grew up playing in rock bands and jazz bands, and I think he was in a polka band for a while.
Oh my God. The best.
In Cleveland.
Sure, my grandma and grandpa know of him.
Give me some Lawrence Welk. I'll go crazy for some Lawrence Welk.
Yeah, like, so it really prepared me for. Oh, and he was super into the fact that I was in a band.
Oh, really?
Like, he loved it. He was a minister, but he was like the weirdest minister. Like, he loved trains, and like he had like rooms full of trains.
Was he autistic?
I'm pretty sure he was on the
I was about to
spectrum.
say,
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't have known it back then, but my wife, she has a master's in early childhood development.
Sure.
And a lot of what she does is she works with kids of special needs. And the more stories I've told her about my dad, she's like, your dad definitely was on the spectrum. And I was like, explains. He, when I was in elementary school, because he was a minister, he would take me to weddings, he would take me to funerals, he would take me to all kinds of like stuff that he had to officiate. He took me to a funeral one time where it was I grew up right outside of DC, and a lady in politics, I'm sure I could look up the history because this has to be something, but she was shot during some political thing. And my dad was doing the funeral. And so he had to get there early because he was the minister. And it's this big, long room. And the casket's all the way on the other side of the room. So my dad's talking to me as we walk through the room. We're getting closer and closer to the body. And we get right up by the casket. And my dad's like making sure everything looks okay. And I'm standing there, right? I'm with him. I've been to several funerals at this point, but I don't know if I'd ever been that close to a body. So it was kind of weirding me out. Somebody from the funeral home was like, "Oh, Reverend, we need to ask you about something." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Buck, I'll be right back." And like walks out of this huge room and leaves me alone with the body. And I'm just standing there. I'm just like staring at this woman, and it's like my brain can't handle the fact that like to see a human not move at all is really unnerving when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
I've actually shared that one with my therapist, and like we spent a little time on that one. But he was totally, he would show up to the shows. Like he'd find out Ghoti Hook was playing. Like we played a show in Pennsylvania somewhere with, I can't remember who the band was, but it was like some hardcore band. And, we get up and play, and I look up and my dad's just like two people back in the audience, just standing there loving every minute of it. So he was totally fine. Like he didn't give it a second thought. That I was telling Mason, like I graduated from high school. The next day I left to go on a 2-month-long tour. All like the northern route around America, then the southern route back.
Wow.
And I know that my dad didn't give it a second thought. He just loved it. He loved the fact that I was out there doing something. It freaked my mom out, but, every mom's going to be like that.
Right, of course.
So I lucked out, definitely, in a way, to have parents that, like, totally supported being able to go out and do stuff like that.
That's definitely not every band's story, for sure.
No.
Especially if you're a pastor's kid. I feel like most of the time we hear that story, it's a very different kind of story. It tends to be more of like a legalistic kind of father, where they're questioning what your motives are and why you're doing this and so on and so forth. But
yeah, my parents were like, they noticed that I really liked music when I was young. Big into the Beatles and the Beach Boys when I was little. And then I'd say 6th grade was when I really started just having the headphones on all the time and listening to music either in my room or on the bus. And their thing was, because they were more aware of like the satanic panic with heavy metal bands and stuff there like that. And they're like, if we start to feel like you're becoming a different person, or we feel like the music is having a negative effect on you, then we're going to have a conversation about the music you're listening to. And I was like, that's fair. So I just enjoyed the music. It wasn't like, oh, this is who I am, you can't change me or anything like that. It was just like, I dig the music and I'm still me. It wasn't, like I wasn't trying to rebel against anything. So I had to give away one record, and it was like, Are you familiar with Mr. Bungle at all?
Yeah, for sure.
I had their first full length, and of all the CDs for my mom to pull out of my collection and read the lyrics, that was the one she picked. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you read those lyrics. And she's like, yeah, you got to get rid of this one. I was like, all right. So I took it to a used CD store, sold it, and then used that money to buy a new copy at the mall later that day.
Classic.
So I did what she asked.
Yeah. But then totally did the opposite.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, okay, so there's a lot of like kind of the the early part, kind of main history of Ghoti Hook. You guys do it for 10 years or so, a little over 10 years. You're releasing albums, you're touring around the world, around the country especially, and it just sort of ends I'm sure for a variety of reasons in the early 2000s, and there really hasn't been a lot of activity since then. You guys have obviously played like a few shows here and there over the last 25 years basically. But yeah, I'd love to just kind of hear like where are you all at now? Like what I again, like I know that you guys have played some shows sparingly, but is there any desire to release new music at some point? Are you guys wanting to actually maybe do some tour stuff, more shows? What's sort of the maybe life of Ghoti Hook now, knowing that it's been quite some time since that main decade of the 90s?
I mean, first of all, the fact that we could come back at all is just, I never thought that would happen.
Right. That's so cool.
Because, I mean, in real terms, there's, like Blink-182, Green Day, and then, all the bands all the way down, the hierarchy of like the bands who are big to the bands that are small. Ghoti Hook was not a big band, like in the big scheme of things. We did what we did. It was awesome. It was a blessing far, far beyond what I ever deserved in my life. Like I had two goals when I was in high school, and it was one, to go on tour, and two, to have a record get sold in Tower Records. And I did both of those things. And so I was kind of like, everything else is cake. And I'm not really a like silver lining type person. I'm pretty realistic to cynical most of the time. But I always tried to be the guy that was like, we don't deserve this. It's crazy that we got it. And the fact that we're complaining about some unimportant bullshit is dumb. Like we could be in a cubicle right now with Kyle in a pair of Docker pants that don't fit all that well, typing out on some spreadsheet about something none of us care about. That's what we could be doing right now. But instead, we're in Germany, or we're on tour with MXPX, or we're playing a show with, whatever it is we're doing right now is far better than what we could be doing. No matter how much this might suck at this moment, because there were a lot of difficult moments.
Yeah.
But I tried to be that guy, and I tried to make it real. Have you ever met one of those people that they're like, oh man, this is awesome. I'm so glad this is going to be great. Everything's going to be awesome. And it's just a big crock. Like, they're psyching themselves up.
Right.
And you're like,
and as soon as there's like one moment of inconvenience, they're out.
Right. I'm home. I'm going home. And it's just like, just be real. So I wanted my appreciation for our position to be real. So all that to say, like, the fact that 25 years later we could get together and play a show and anybody cares is just crazy to me. The fact that anybody on Facebook or Instagram would discuss one of our records or something that we did is like, almost like it's somebody else. It's like I see other people experience that and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But like when I come across that, like I'll comment on Facebook or wherever, and I've had some friends who are just like, you shouldn't comment. It makes you look kind of like, you know, not cool or whatever. And I'm like,
Dude,
I am
the coolest thing.
crazy. What?
That's the coolest thing.
Well, I'm so appreciative that anybody cares that about something we did, when we were young. And I still have that impetus of like, I had so many bands put on shows that I loved, put out records that I loved. And I had moments where I was like, oh, this record's so good. I love listening to this song. Oh, the bridge in this song is so cool. I can't wait till it gets to that part. I always have that desire to want to give that back. It's like I want to be in a position where some kid can be in his Toyota Tercel on his way to high school and be like, oh man, the intro to this song always gets me. It's like, that's what I want. That's what I want to be a part of, As for the future of Ghoti Hook and all of that, I don't know. We're just kind of taking it as it comes, not pushing it too hard, and it's difficult. We all have kids.
Yep.
We all have jobs. Touring pretty much is probably not an option at this point. Unless it would be like weekends.
Right. Right.
Something to that effect.
That's the funny thing. Like you guys could be just going right back to like 16 years old again, where you can just do your weekend thing and just make sure that you clock in by Monday.
Right. Yeah. Which I'd be fine with. I'm not so sure our wives would be super pumped, but
Yeah, that's fair.
I would like to put out some new music. I've wanted to for years. I'm friends with Jeff Cloud from Velvet Blue, and he's always down, to put out music, and I'll send him an email and I'm like, hey, it's been a while, but if we were to happen to put out an EP or a record, what would you think? And he's like, let's do it, so it's nice to have that.
Where's the rest of the band on that?
They want to, but like I said, we all have jobs.
Right.
And it's hard. My job is really weird. I'm a graphic designer, and my job, I've been working from home since 2019, and they don't care when I work as long as I do the work.
Right.
So I could work at 2:00 in the morning. As long as I hit my deadlines, they don't care, So it's like I can go, like when I first started working there, I went for like 2 months without doing any work. And it was like, I would just sit in my cubicle watching like movies or drawing or doing whatever I wanted. And finally my boss came over and I was like, hey, I don't want this to be weird, but I haven't worked on a project in like 2 months. He's like, yeah, that's fine. That's just that's the way it is here. I was like, okay. I've never had a job like that. All my jobs have some boss like yelling at me because I haven't done something on time, So it's like I can go for huge periods of time where I don't work on a project, but then I'll have other times where it's like 3 months of just like crazy deadlines. Yeah, it's feast or famine. So I've actually been working on new demos for Ghoti Hook stuff.
Nice.
And I'm half of what my dad was. Like, I can play the bass guitar, but I can't tell you what notes they are, what string. I know how to tune the bass, and I can play the songs that I write, but I could probably learn another song. I've not tried, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like what notes I'm playing or anything to that capacity. Or like what. I remember I played a song for someone and they're like, what key is this in? I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm a drummer. I hit things, and that's not like hyperbole at all. Like I legitimately don't know what I'm doing, but I know enough to be able to put stuff together that the guys can take and turn into a song. It's just finding the time, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like I get a little impatient sometimes with music because Ghoti Hook broke up, and then I joined a band called the Party People with Eric from Dennis and Mars, and his friend, and Jeff Cloud from all his different projects at that time. And then did a couple shows with that band, but it was too difficult. Eric was in Florida, I was in DC, Jeff was in California, so rehearsal was a little difficult. Played Joel and I, Joel from Ghoti Hook and I had another band where we actually played at Cornerstone one year. It was called Grayson, and it was some friends of ours from a band called Vroom, and it was I guess you'd call it a concept show about David from the Bible committing adultery with Bathsheba, and just like approaching it from, I think sometimes we get separated from context in the Bible. We can read about somebody, but if you're not putting yourselves in their shoes in that moment, there's some context that gets lost. There's some saliva and sweat and smells that all get lost. I was thinking about this, like podcasts are nice because I don't have to smell anybody that I listen to, you know.
You're telling me you can't smell Cullen right now? Like, it's the worst.
I literally
It's the
just got done moving cows, so
I could deal with that, you know. But like, so that's what that was all about. It was like trying to get into the sweat and the saliva and the feeling of that moment. So I don't know why I'm talking about it so much. It was one show. But I've pretty much played music ever since I left Ghoti Hook. And I'm in another band right now. It's kind of like a Wilco with a little bit of the Decemberists mixed in.
very indie.
Yeah, it's fun. It's the first main band I started playing in after Ghoti Hook and the Party People was a singer-songwriter named Andy Ziff, and he's very quiet, very delicate with his music, kind of like an angelic quality, like Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
But more on the pretty side of things. And so like to go from like playing as hard as I possibly can to as soft as I possibly can was a huge switch for me. But it was kind of like a reset that brought me back to drumming and like recalibrating how I played the drums. And it's really sad because playing these shows with Ghoti Hook and rehearsing with Ghoti Hook again, I am a way better drummer than I ever was in Ghoti Hook. And I'm just like, it's such a bummer. I listen to our records and I'm like, I could have done this so much better. Like our first two, Sumo and Banana Man, they're not to click track.
Right.
Because I didn't know how to do that. And most of our shows, till about my early 20s, no, not that, like most of our shows and like maybe the first half of our touring, I didn't even really understand music theory or music concepts of like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. I primarily knew that like the song was quiet here and the song was louder here, and I would listen to guitar cues that let me know when that was going to happen, or vocal cues. But the more we toured and the more we were using really crappy sound systems in the middle of like BF nowhere, I couldn't hear those cues. So I'd be playing and like I'd get the guitar look, they all, when I mess up a song and and it started happening a lot. and I hated it so much. So like, I had this old Casio keyboard that had a drum demo, and so I would set the tempo in the drum loop, and I would play along over and over and over again until I figured out how to play along with the click track, and then started to play with just a click track. I learned all of Ghoti. I went back and relearned all of Ghoti Hook's music in the structure,
Right.
and so it's a bummer because it could have been so much better. But it's nice now because, you know, I can be up on stage or in rehearsal and be a part of the conversation when something happens, something weird happens. And sorry, I went way off the rails
No.
on that topic.
That's a great
So,
that's a
like,
great inside look, really.
Totally.
so it's tough too as a musician, because a lot of times when musicians get really good, their records start to really suck.
It's very true.
And it's hard to, it's almost like the growing old thing, and like trying to not look cool but look cool because you don't look cool, like towing that whole line of like, I understand and I accept that I'm getting older, but I still want to be relevant. Like learning how to write music where our ability far exceeds what we could do when we were 16 or 12. So I've really been trying to focus on the moment the idea comes into my head for a song. Because a lot of times you get an idea for a song and it's either a melody or some guitar part. And that moment is way better than anything else that comes after it. Because it's so new and it's so fresh and exciting that it's this new idea that the possibilities of what it could be become really exciting.
For sure.
And then sometimes when you try to shape it and create it and make it nice and shiny, it just becomes real boring. So I'm trying to focus on staying in that moment and not polishing it up all that much. Just going with what I felt in that moment and expanding it, instead of being like, oh, people are going to think I'm such a good songwriter. They're going to be so impressed. You know, just throwing all of that out and just being like, I like this. It's loud. It's fast. Let's do that. And then move on to the next one.
I love
So
that.
hopefully we can get something together and put it out, you know.
Fingers crossed.
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll keep our
Fingers
fingers
crossed.
crossed as a fan base, because I feel like the world does need a little more Ghoti Hook.
I agree.
And it sounds
I
like you're
agree.
maybe the one that's kind of driving the flag forward for that.
It's because I have the time.
Right. Right.
Jamie and I live close together. Joel lives up in New Jersey, so he doesn't get to rehearse with us. But Jamie and I still rehearse like every other week.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, we're doing a show in October where we're playing Sumo Surprise in its entirety. And there's songs on that record that we haven't played in over 30 years. So
Jeez.
some of them were, I mean, muscle memory is the craziest thing. Because if we start a song, usually we can finish it, even if we haven't played it. But we're still rehearsing to make sure we don't get on stage and look like a bunch of idiots.
That's got to be such a
More than
scary
we
thing.
normally do.
It-
It's exciting.
yeah.
I've gotten to a point where it's like I've messed up on stage so many times that like it's kind of exciting when I mess up, because then it's new, it's something different.
Right. That makes sense.
It's those happy accidents, as Bob Ross calls them. You know.
Oh, totally.
Exactly.
And it's sometimes like I've discovered like drum things that I'm like, oh, that was so weird. I got to do that again. Then it ends up being a part of something different.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Adam, let's dive into your top 5 most influential albums. So the albums that have shaped you as a musician, as a person, however you want to interpret it. So not necessarily your favorite albums, but your top 5
Right.
most influential.
Most influential. This is something we used to catch a lot of flack for in the Christian interviews because none of our records were ever Christian records.
Great.
I would say the most eye-opening, like undefinable but fantastic record would be Angel Dust by Faith No More.
Wow, yeah.
Oh,
Great
that's a
record.
great pick.
Faith No More has been my favorite band since I discovered them. I saw them on a rerun of Saturday Night Live on the Comedy Channel. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And so I went out, and I can't think of the name of the record with Epic on it. Got that record and was super into it. And then Angel Dust came out, and I was like, whoa, this is heavy, and it's big, and it's all over the place. And I love everything about it. I've been a Faith No More Mike Patton fan forever.
Naturally.
I have like all of Mike Patton's solo records, thus, the Mr. Bungle stuff. So that would probably be the biggest, most influential record of my life.
It's a great pick.
I'm trying to think. For the topic of our conversation, I would say Punk and Drublick by NoFX would be on there because it was so fast. Growing up as a little metalhead, there were a lot of songs that were fast, and I love thrash metal and stuff like that. But it was just like sometimes you wanted it to be so fast that you just couldn't touch it.
Yeah.
And there's songs on Punk and Drublick, like Linoleum. If you sit down and try to play Linoleum, it's like, good Lord, this is so fast. And like the fills that he's doing, what do they call him? Stinky? No. Smelly is the drummer for NoFX. I forget what they call him.
I don't know.
But well, I don't know. This is where I get caught up because it's like, I think some people approach questions like this where they're like, well, it's this, this, and this, and they don't really care. Like, I get the super geeky part of me and nerdy part, like, starts to hulk out and just be like, oh, I want to discuss all these records. It would be between Ribbed and Punk and Drublick. Those two records. Because there's stuff on those records that it's almost like Angel Dust, where they're trying things that are going outside of the scope of their genre and incorporating them in, and it really worked. And it was like really great. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to make my second pick 2 records.
That's all right.
Oh man, there's so many. I also get tongue-tied because it's like a traffic jam in my brain of all the answers being like, ooh. Oh. Everybody loves dead air on a podcast, right? All right, the first one that popped into my head for number 3 is Caribou by the Pixies.
Oh,
Fantastic.
that's an underrated Pixies album too.
Massively.
Yeah, it's really, it has all the Pixie stuff there, but again, I'm starting to notice a pattern. It's like you feel them stretching and finding new things in that record, to new ways to express what they want, and they're not concerned about how it fits in other places. So I really like that record.
I think actually the album, I know what you're talking about. So they have the song called Caribou, but I think the album is called Come On Pilgrim.
Yes. Sorry. Come On Pilgrim. That one, I listened to that a lot in high school. I'd probably say after that, I just thought of a funny one, but really influential for my touring life was Twisted Sister's Big Hits and Nasty Cuts.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of it was their best of. The first half of it was their big hits, their singles, and then the second half was Nasty Cuts. It was from their live shows, and D. Snyder was an awesome frontman. Just like got everybody into the, just got them into the show. And if you weren't into the show, it was he has a quote. He's like, "Oh, everybody's gonna laugh at you if you're clapping along with a song." He's like, "Well, if somebody laughs at you for clapping along with the song, you kick them in the face." And you can hear the audience just be like, "Rah."
He's a genuinely
say-
he's a genuinely good person too, I think.
Yeah, like charismatic, and I think he's like big into like donating for charities and things like that.
Yeah. He also helped save like the alternative music industry in the
Yeah.
late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Early 90s.
And does he still have his radio show?
I don't know on that for sure, but I have a lot of respect for Dee Snider. Even though I'm not like the biggest like Twisted Sister fan, like I think that he's an incredible person.
Yeah, definitely influenced how I approached playing live shows. Where
Yeah.
it was just like, I don't know where. I think I was playing a show in Pennsylvania at a college, and I was in a super bad mood. I was like, I almost like didn't walk on stage. I was just like, I am so pissed. I don't want to do this. But then like I walked to the back of the stage, and it was just like one of those huge auditoriums just full of people, and I was like, these people don't care that I'm in a bad mood. And it was I realized like they used their own money to buy a ticket to come see this show.
Yeah.
And it's like, my bad mood doesn't matter. And so it was like, that kind of became my mantra, where it was just like, whatever I'm going through doesn't matter. I've bought tickets to lots of shows, and I want to see an awesome show. And I'm not thinking about like what the bass player had for lunch, or what the lead singer, talked about to his girlfriend 5 minutes before he walked on stage. It's like, I just want to hear the songs I like and have a good time. So I tried to remember that. And it was like, Dee Snider was one of those people where it was just like, we're here to have fun. Do that, do that, and it's like, I'm sure if I could watch video of myself playing live, I would probably like want to curl up into like the most embarrassed, painful, cringy speck of dust you could imagine. I hate seeing myself, but at the same time, it's just like, do something, do anything to make the audience remember that show.
Right.
Do something. It's like, there are so many bands that stare at their guitar pedal while they play, and then they walk off stage, and that's it, and that's fine. Right. I just saw a band, I went and saw Failure last week, and their opening band was like the most boring band I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of bands. I don't want to like brag, but I've toured for like 10 years. You see a lot of bands.
Right.
As like, the bass player never looked at the audience. He stared at his bass cabinet and looked at the one guitarist. And I was just like, I get the kind of like James Dean cool, like, oh, I'm not going to look at the audience. Like, I get that. I understand the vibe. But it's just like, if the rest of your band is as boring as snot, you standing with your back to the audience the whole time just looks like you're afraid,
Mm-hmm. Or
And
they
so
just like don't want to be there, which like,
Right.
why would the audience
Yeah.
want to
Why are you
watch
there in
you
the
if you
first
don't want to
place?
be there?
Right.
There are so many other musicians that are awesome that would love to take your spot.
Yeah.
That was another thing I had. It was like the fear of just like, I could be this. There are dudes watching me right now while I play who are way better than I am and could do what I'm doing so much better, but I'm the one up here. So make it fun. Make it make it something they can remember. So that's Dee Snider's influence on me.
Yeah.
So what is it? Faith No More, No Effects, The Pixies, Twisted Sister, one more. It's tough.
It is tough.
You guys have any suggestions?
We don't know you, man. Not like you know you.
You could do a Ghoti
I don't
Hook
know.
album if you want.
Yeah, do a Ghoti Hook record.
No.
I've always been. There's only been one band that I can think of that's ever done their own record on the Most Influential Records.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who was that?
I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been.
It was years ago.
It was Plea for Purging, I think.
Oh, that's
Really?
cool. I mean,
Yeah.
that's cool in one sense. Like, I've written a lot of solo music, and I still go back and listen to it because I wrote it for me.
Right.
I don't care if anybody likes it. Ghoti Hook was a little too complicated because there was a audience, already there. But if a person can honestly be like, a record I wrote is really influential to my life, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
Super egotistical, but, amazing. Geez, I'm trying to, I'm almost tempted to open up Spotify and just start scrolling through.
I mean, that's what I would do if I were you.
Well, let's do that. Let's give your audience some dead air.
I love it.
So who is your audience?
Anybody and everybody.
I mean, yeah, it is like kind of an interesting mix. I will say it's like probably mostly people that grew up on Tooth and Nail, throughout probably all of the different eras of Tooth and Nail.
Mm-hmm.
I would say primarily, I'm sure Cullen would say this too, probably primarily Tooth and Nail people, or at
Yep.
least people that grew up in that world.
Yep.
Yeah, I just a couple years ago learned about the second wave, the Tooth and Nail second wave that happened in like the early 2000s or like
Oh, yeah,
to
that's
the
when
teens.
Yep.
that's when they like really started to make some money.
Yeah, that's crazy. Can you hear my cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, your cat. I mean, I think your cat's clearly a big second wave Tooth and Nail fan.
His name is Dusk.
Oh,
Dusk.
Dusk.
Great
What a-
name.
He's jet
That
black.
sounds like a second wave Tooth and Nail album. That sounds like an album that like Amberlin would have had or something.
Oh yeah, was Amberlin? Oh no, I'm thinking of what is it? Oh, there was a band we played with them a bunch of times. They had a big green tour bus, and I remember the drummer would play like real fast punk music, but then like he would always have a chance to like push his glasses up while he was playing. He would like do a fill and then push his glasses back up real quick.
I don't think that was Amberlin.
Trying to think,
No,
who would have that been?
Amberetta or something like that. No,
Joan
Man,
Zetta?
No.
Those guys would have came after you guys' time. Man, I'm
all right.
trying to think what drummer would have had glasses.
This was a long time ago. This was like when we were like probably Banana Man era.
Oh, it's like very early then.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to go with the super obvious that's staring all of us in the face, and I'm just going to go with Screeching Weasel, Boogada Boogada Boogada.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Hell
there we
yeah.
go.
That record did a really great job of towing the line between like pissed off punk anthems and songs about like not really liking your girlfriend or not really liking where you're growing up and just whatever topics and it all fit together. And I don't know how many times I listened to that record when it first came out, and I actually just saw them a couple weeks ago up in Baltimore. It was a good show. It was the Queers, Screeching Weasel. I forget who the opening band was. The Huntingtons were there, but I didn't get to see them. They didn't play. They were just there to see the bands. So yeah, that Boogada 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 by Screeching Weasel would be my number 5.
Love it. Great call. Makes
I'm
sense.
gonna be
Crazy
lying
thing
in
is,
bed.
to some degree, you can kind of hear a little bit of each one of those. As weird, you've got like Twisted Sister in there, obviously Screeching Weasel, and kind of everything in between, and you can kind of hear a little bit of all of that in Ghoti Hook. It's kind of an interesting mix, but it all kind of makes sense. And obviously, you're not like the primary songwriter in Ghoti Hook, but like obviously you've got a say in it as well as the other guys. But you can kind of hear a little bit of all of those in Ghoti Hook to some degree.
We were all it was hard pressed for us to listen to a record on because back then nobody had the aux, we just had like a 6 CD disc changer, and so you have that little black brick and you put 6 CDs in it and you plug it in under the chair, and that's what you listen to for the next 4 to 5 hours. And there weren't that many moments when someone would put in a record and you would just be like, ugh, not this record again. we all pretty much listened to the same stuff. We all grew up listening to the same stuff. And so I think, if you were to ask the other guys, it would be a similar list. So it's funny that you say that, because there's times, let's see, like some of the stuff we wrote for Sumo Surprise, I was probably 14 or 15.
Jeez.
And there were different versions, they would change throughout the years, but there was some stuff where it's like, oh, I don't know if I like that, or that's kind of embarrassing, that's kind of kid stuff, but then going back and listening to some of these records, like what you said, it's like, oh, I get where that comes from. That's that record, or we stole that from that band,
Yeah.
And so I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we either were ignorant enough or comfortable enough to just kind of wear our influences on our sleeves a little bit. Because I think if you try to hide it, you just end up kind of looking a little silly.
Yeah, for sure. True.
For sure. Well, Adam, what do you want to plug? Obviously, there's like maybe not necessarily anything quite on their horizon yet for Ghoti Hook, but yeah, what do you want to plug? Maybe it's your own work. Maybe there is something Ghoti Hook related, or or maybe it's like a friend's thing you want to plug. But yeah, what is it you want to plug?
Well, Joel, Jamie, and I, we all live on the East Coast, and Mark Solomon, he lives on the East Coast. He's in Florida.
That's right.
And
We love Mark.
he's a great guy. It's been funny to get to know him over the years, because like the first time I met him, it was like the first time I met Stavesacre, it was be like if you took one of the new kids on the block and like put him in one of those like real prison shows where it's like you've got Mark Solomon, Jeff Ballou, Dirk, and Sam, and they're all just like, these guys are gonna kill us. It's like it was really scary, but we ended up being like we probably toured with them more than anybody else. But yeah, and Mark is still like, I don't think he has the mustache anymore.
Oh, he still has it. It's a handlebar.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark
last
looks like he still works for NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah.
or Pirates of the Caribbean,
Or
Disneyland,
or
Disney World.
like a biker bar reenactment.
Yeah.
Or biker bar security. That's more like it. Yeah.
Or that he's in prison. I mean, one of
or
those.
prison,
He's doing something. He's doing something that fits the stereotype for sure.
Someone I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and
Yeah,
see
that's right. But
standing
you definitely
over me.
like, if you end up in trouble, you want him.
There's Mark with
on your
us
side.
Yeah.
just recently. Yeah.
Oh, is that a Furnace Fest?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a
that was
first.
the
Furnace
Furnace
Yeah.
Fest.
Nice.
He's got a big
Oh,
beard.
he's gone
though.
all white.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, he's going all white. Yeah. He could do a good Santa.
Oh yeah.
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 Solomon the White.
Yeah.
I like.
That's too good. I'm gonna call him that from now on. Now that you said that.
Yes. Please
Speaking
do.
of which, I've got Gandalf here with me.
Oh, nice.
He's
That's
he's-
fantastic.
He's the older brother of Gandalf the Grey.
Solomon
He's one of the
White.
Illuvatar, Mason. It's something you want to understand. Got to get into tokenology.
I'm not nerdy enough.
Wow. That's impressive. I dig it. We are planning on doing some split projects with Ghoti Hook and Stavesacre.
Oh,
Hell
shit.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Possibly shows and possibly recorded stuff.
Cool.
I was in a band called the Cowards Choir for a long time, and we had 2 drummers, which is just for a drummer. It is just so much fun
Yeah,
to
I
have
bet.
another drummer in the band, because you don't get to talk about cymbals with anybody in the band, because nobody cares. So yeah, that's, you heard it here first.
I will travel
huge.
for that 100%.
Yeah, I would travel for that.
That better end up on Wikipedia.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Very
a
least.
little intimidating to play opposite of Sam West. He is a just
Monster.
monster drummer.
Totally.
Like, I don't know how many times on tour I would watch him and just be like, I should probably quit. I should, I've done my best, and I recognize I'm done.
It's just, yeah, there's no room for me in this.
Sam actually played, what is it? It's called The Long Tail. So I was in the Cowards Choir, the 2 drummer bands, with, and the lead singer is Andy Ziff. I've played with him for years. But Andy actually had Ryan and Sam play on his record called The Long Tail, which is a cool record. And it was a weird way for my world to, snake eating its own tail type thing.
Ouroboros, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Kevin Bacon.
Or Kevin Bacon.
So yeah, all ancestral. It's like you can't know musicians without them knowing other musicians that you know.
Right,
True.
totally,
Small
for sure.
world.
Very overlapped.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It is a small world. So, well, super excited for all of that. Yeah, we're obviously Cullen and I are huge fans of Stavesacre, big fans of Mark. God bless that man. He's just a lovely human being through and through. So, well, Adam, thanks for chatting all things Ghoti Hook. Again, it's a huge honor. Anytime we can get some of those like original tooth and nail bands on the podcast chatting about their history, it really feels like really, really important work and just like important conversations. I was just telling somebody this the other day. I'm like, I feel like, to like what Cullen and I are doing, and I don't mean this in like a way that like we're doing this well or anything, but like
Yeah,
the
it's not-
point of the
it's not
podcast for me,
self-flagellating. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not trying to self-grandize here, but like
I
it
get
does
your
feel
vibe.
like at least what I'm trying to do is have conversations with a lot of artists that have either influenced the world that Cullen and I are in, or have listened to, or obviously are the artists themselves that Cullen and I have really been influenced by. And Ghoti Hook is one of those, one of those bands that, even though you guys were a little bit before our time, have clearly influenced the world that Cullen and I were in
100%.
and grew up in, and have changed our lives. And so, anytime we can kind of get one of those forefathers, if you will, of that world, it's a huge deal for us. So, thank you so much for chatting more about Ghoti Hook and all things Ghoti Hook. And yeah, hopefully we can hear some new Ghoti Hook music sometime soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks for doing this. It's Jeff from Five Iron. She was like, "Hey, these guys are a little bit younger than us." I was like, "Why do they want to talk to me?" And it's, I guess maybe a box to check off or something. But yeah, it's like I was saying earlier. It's mind blowing to me that anybody would care. Imagine your core group of friends when you were like 12 years old did something that people are going to want to have you on a podcast when you're almost 50 years old.
God, I hope not. What I did when I was 12, I hope does not still exist.
Yeah. Yeah. All Mason was talking about was like what Glenn Beck was talking about that week.
Yeah, dude, God forbid anything that I did at 12 years old still exists in the world. Hopefully that was left in 2000. When was that? 2006.
It's like Sean Hannity had this great takedown.
All right,
of
Cullen, we're
socialism.
done with this. We're done.
Have you heard about this gold?
Yeah, nailed it.
Oh, and don't drink the juice boxes.
That's right.
Where are you guys from?
South Dakota.
We grew up in the middle of nowhere in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I could have
Yeah.
told you stories about South Dakota
Oh, really?
yeah.
and North Dakota.
Well, we'll have to have you
We've
on
got
another
stories
time.
about
Then.
South Dakota. So,
well, thank
all
you
right.
for
Well,
having
Adam,
me.
thank you so much, and yeah, we'd love to have you back on.
Oh, thanks. I'd love. Maybe I can get one of the other guys to join us.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Let's do it.
Okay.